Good evening, and thanks for joining me in the debate today. Elizabeth Jealous from Deaconton University and Carlos Varela, and let us begin. First, the firm has failed the litmus test and thereby concede this debate by failing to address the value criterion or even a way to access either of them, has given no reason why her arguments are more important. Critique and the counterplan. The framework. The affirmative argument links hard to the framework. You extend the first piece of Katie evidence. The thought is that the affirmative should win the debate because the spreading of this debate is an inherent loss of reality. No matter where you vote, you cannot control any form of debate because it's out of your area of control. Perpetuating these thoughts of control creates unending suffering. The only way to change is to recognize our true area of control. Trying to form debate in other ways seeds our influence with the policymakers to show that we inherently can't do anything because we don't have individual power. This starts the education debate because it doesn't matter what we learn. We concede that policymakers are the only ones who can create change. This is where our value comes into ending suffering criterion and realize that we can do and we cannot do is direction on the methodology of the one area. This peacefulness is the only way to help animals, so we realize our individual action. Case. Here's the story. As in my coaching evidence, the affirmative use to speak critique proves the point of the language being an inhibiting barrier that shows animals in the school should be oppressed. Her misunderstanding proves that when we can't recognize a form of language, we restrict the individual. This cross-applies to other organisms, including other humans, so it means if you vote after, you're perpetuating a system that excludes difference. The affirmative would have you restrict my speech much in the same way that women is black speech. The paradigm of sameness destroys the difference, reducing any education we can garner from this debate. The affirmative's complaint is not a reason to vote affirmative. The affirmative is like a 60-year-old debate coach complaining about the LD has critiques and plans in it. This amounts to nothing. Excluding me is excluding the evolution of the LD and prevents us in the future from making new and interesting ways of debating. I followed the parameters and nothing more. She should be taken up with the tournament director. Human and animal lives should be weighted the same. Her sentient thoughts ignores that there's no justification for oppressing animals. She has lost this run already. That's my Rogers evidence. Only by realizing the only equal ways to include all difference can oppression and violence be stopped. This is better because, one, there's no Bradley for how much speed is too much and unfair to push me for actually exceeding an arbitrary threshold because I couldn't have predicted what would be considered too fast. It also takes out the critique solvency because debaters wouldn't bother trying to adhere to arbitrary standards that didn't know what they'd have to do to meet them. Two, voting on this particular speed critique won't actually stop spreading. There's no reason to drop me. Speed critiques will never win a significant number of rounds. There's no practical incentive to stop spreading. Speed critiques are coming impossible, but obviously they've never solved. Three, by going faster I can talk more about a single subject and give more warrants, read more cards about an issue. This allows us to have more specific discussion about an issue which increases education. Four, innovative arguments take more time to explain because the complex warrants and our impact analysis. Penalizing speed kills innovation to encourage the same stock issue. We debate every round which destroys education. Five, the ability to read more evidence is key to education. The rewards debated for doing more pre-round research preparation or outweighs the critique impacts because the research phases where we actually learn about the topic turns education. Six, speed solves elitism in debate by evening the playing field for everyone. Everyone has access to high-level research tools like JSTOR or coaches that have collected card from them, but everyone can do speed critiques. Competitive drills to debate ground towards the debate with better background. Speed helps solve these issues. Seven, spreading boost short-term memory to key to education everyday life. Psychology today writes the faster you can talk, the greater you get, the greater the power. The phone numbers, directions, everyday tasks, arithmetic, and reading skills. Eight, by talking faster improves memory skills, preventing losses with age. Huel McKenzie writes, increases memory span with age are seen to be very closely related to change in speech rate with age. Nine, speaking at faster rate enhances the quality of communication. Carrie Marsh writes, the substantial evidence such as that faster speech can increase persuasion. 10. Wrong form. The alternative form of debate, such as Congress, except for public forum, don't use spreading people debate policy because the competitive spreading and the educational benefits that we feel can come from with it. If someone doesn't like spreading, he should go to a different forum. Algiers shouldn't be punished for using a style that's meant to be used. Wrong form. The F shouldn't be yelling at me for spreading letters to the NFL asking them just the actual rules against spreading the speed case, asking the debaters to make an intentional strategic error. 12. By putting this critique in a form where you don't actually solve the trivialize the position, degrade its worth. This prevents the critique from ever solving. 13. Debaters know that it's the easy way to be speed critique is to talk even faster because the other side can't keep up without fighting and perform the contradiction until the critique actually encourages spreading. 14. Maximize education would reduce the debate to a trivia contest and kill debate. Reading dictionaries would be educational, but obviously not good for a competitive activity. 15. She never told me before the round that she didn't like spreading, so I'm forced to keep up with the new competition. She shouldn't be able to implement new rules mid-round. To punish me for debating in a style I'm forced to use and wasn't advised against pre-round would be abusive and destructive the ability to debate for him. 16. Turn. Speed is critical in developing linguistic abilities. Elizabeth Stein and Leonard Poon write, at a very fast rate in which the stimulus encoded physical features are extracted from the intellectual access is achieved. 17. Fairness not a vote. We debate to learn not to be fair. And speed fairness to check by multiple people not reading evidence or clipping cards. Vote for the negatives. The only way to change we can make for a better without realizing how we will fix the world in our own control and have any effect on what type of education we can garner from this activity. Okay, thanks. Thanks for being in this debate.